Okay, my name is Jessica, and my narrative story is titled Airport Disaster. It was Christmas Eve of 1999. My brother, sister, and I had just unwrapped what we thought were our last Christmas presents. However, my mom and dad have always been known to save the best present for last, which I kind of like because it builds the suspense. And this year, I had asked for my big present to be a plane ticket to go see my family who lives in Arizona. I wasn't sure I was going to get the plane ticket just because of all the things I've already received. And I was grateful for all of that, but I just really wanted to go and travel and see my cousins, since they only come to Wisconsin twice a year. We started organizing our presents that we got and threw away all the remnants of wrapping paper, and that's when I saw my mom out of the corner of my eye bring another gift into the living room. It was for my sister Allie, and she opened a new telescope. And then she brought in a bicycle for my brother, and it was finally my turn. She handed me an envelope that was thin and light, and the letter started off, "Santa won't be the only one flying this year." I instantly knew that I was headed to Arizona. I began crying and was trying to read the whole letter for the camcorder, but I was so excited and I just wanted to hop on a plane that very minute. After talking with my cousins and parents, I booked a ticket for March so I would fly out during spring break, and then I would also be in Arizona when it was my cousin's birthday. So this is a story about my scary and exciting adventure as an 11-year-old flying by herself for the very first time. On March 17th, it couldn't really come soon enough. My parents wouldn't let me start packing in December, but I really wished I could have. I gathered all the patience I could and started getting out my clothes in March when I got out my suitcase. I started packing my swimsuits and my favorite outfits, and I slowly added more clothes until my bag wouldn't close even anymore. I narrowed down my final selections of things to bring, and that's when my mom sat me down and told me that I had to write down about a list of 15 phone numbers to carry, so in case anything bad happened. And this was back when cell phones weren't very popular, and a cell phone probably would have prevented this entire mess that happened at the Phoenix airport. So finally, March 17th came around. My mom volunteered to take me to Milwaukee since she worked from home. We loaded all the stuff into the minivan and headed to the General Mitchell Airport. It was Friday morning and about 3.5 hours until my flight departed. My mom wanted to leave plenty of time to park, get through security, and walk to the gate. My excitement was building during the hour drive to the airport. I wasn't feeling nervous at all. I had flown numerous times with my family around the country, and I had just never done it alone, so it didn't seem like a big deal at the time. I believed that nothing could go wrong and that nothing would go wrong. My grandma, who lives in Wisconsin, was also planning a trip to be in Arizona, and she was planning on picking me up from the airport since my cousin was in school and my aunt and uncle were at work. So my mom and I got to the airport, and she walked me through the security, and we sat at the gate together. At that point, the non-ticketed guests could still go to the gate to greet and send off family and friends. Everything was going smooth, and my mom and I were talking about all the fun stuff that we had planned for Arizona. Another thing I really liked that my parents decided to lie about my age, so I wouldn't have to be escorted by someone during the flight and when I arrived in Arizona, since I was only 11 and 12 was the age to be a minor on a flight by yourself. It was also $75 extra for an unaccompanied minor plane ticket, so my parents didn't want to pay the extra money for that either. The flight attendants started calling groups of people, and it was my turn. I handed my ticket to the lady and headed down the hallway to the plane. I looked back and waved to my mom and sat down on my seat. I got out my Game Boy and books and got comfortable for the 3.5-hour ride. I finally arrived in Arizona at 11 a.m. The original plan was to meet my grandma at the gate so we could walk together to the car, but she was running late since my flight made it in early. She called ahead and asked the people at the arrival gate to have them let me know that she would pick me up in the arrival area. I got off the plane, and a woman behind the gate counter was calling my name, asking me to step up front. She let me know the situation and pointed me in the direction of the arrival area. She told me to follow the sign to baggage claim and go out the north doors to find my grandma. I started walking that way and didn't realize there was a problem yet. I walked around baggage claim for about 20 minutes trying to find out which door my grandma was at. I kept checking all the different areas and still no sign of her and the Suburban she was driving. I finally asked the security guard where to go, and she told me the doors out front is where the arrivals are at. After an hour of waiting, I began to panic. I was crying hysterically and was finally approached by a security guard. I calmed down enough just to explain my situation, and she was able to get online with other security guards to help me find my grandma. It turned out that there was an older woman at the departure gate who couldn't find her granddaughter. Since she was alone and in the drop-off area, I found out she couldn't leave her car and let me know that she went to the wrong area, and if she would have left her car would have been towed. Getting lost in a large airport was one of the scariest things I have ever had to deal with. I learned that it's always better to ask for help before the situation gets out of hand, and that cell phones are a necessity today. If cell phones would have been around in 2000 like they are today, it would have taken one simple phone call to find out that my grandma was actually on the floor above me at departures instead of arrivals. I appreciate the handiness of cell phones, and I also know that however embarrassing asking for directions may be, but it's always the best option, especially when it's available.